What's going on, everybody? This your boy Black Otaku, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is my first video of 2020, and I just want to go ahead and take the liberty of apologizing for not being able to post or do much content lately. It's mainly due to my job and how things are going on with my family and everything. Right now, I'm trying to get everything situated and everything. I finally think I can actually start doing a little more content than usual, and here we go. Basically, right now, I'm going to be doing a two-part video. This video right now. This is pretty much my thoughts of what I want to see in a Sly 5 game. Because the movie is a bust, or should I say been shelved. The freaking show hasn't exactly put out a pilot or anything. Or if it does exist, please hit me up in the comment section, leave a link, and let me know, because I am dying to see it. I just need to see what in God's name took so long. That's all I'm saying. Now, without further ado, these are 10 things that I want to see in Sly 5. In no particular order. Part 1. Okay, the first thing I would love to see in a Sly 5 game is basically this. I want Sly 5 to do what Sly 4 should have done. And I mean go in depth with the ancestors. Like, show how they came up with their signature moves. Their moves in general. Like, no one just wakes up one day and just says, you know what, I'm gonna be invisible today. Like, there has to be like a process or something. Like, I would love to see that. I mean, like, stuff like that's actually interesting. Like, maybe Ryuichi's leaping dragon technique, or or maybe that, climbing cobra move with Salim, or, well, the rail walk and the rail slide, that one, I don't really think we need to know that much about it. I mean, it's kind of so, it's not really that difficult. I mean, I could do the rail walk or rail slide. As big as I am, I could probably do that. I mean, like, not walk across, buildings with strong streets. I mean, like slide on rails and stuff like that. It's like, it's not that difficult to figure out where you got that technique from, Sly. Another certain anthropomorphic animal that happens to be blue and runs pretty fast. Cause think about it. Sonic Adventure 2 came out before Sly Cooper. Coincidence? I think not. I'm kidding. But for real though, it's like we don't really get to see that. It's like, bam, here's the ancestor. Bam, we got to do this. Bam, we got to do that. It's like things all over this. It's like things all over this hub world are screwed up. You need to help me. It's like, need to help the ancestors get through all this and everything. While at the same time, not cause them to get super confused and question everything you're doing, which is kind of weird. It's like, I heard in one of Shirai 5's videos when he was doing it everything wrong with, he said, like, aren't you worried that it will cause a butterfly effect? I mean, like, no offense, but I'm like, I love Shari. Like, by the way, I'm not attacking Shirai 5. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. Because, people of color, we got to stick together, man. Creating stuff, Keep doing what you're doing. Love it. And I'm, by the way, big fan of your work. Anyway, though, it's like, wouldn't it cause a butterfly effect by telling Ryuichi who you are and everything? I'm like, yeah, no offense, but think about it. El Jefe's interference with that entire, hub world and era, and in that time period, the damage is already done. You might as well. It's like, you might as well say, hey, I'm from the future. These weird looking guards and that ugly ass tiger is from the future too. So yeah, the damage has already been done. But anyway, though, I'm not here to talk about that. Sorry, Shirai 5. He's like, I would love to do a collab if you're interested anyway. But as soon as I get my channel up and running, but you know where I'm going with this. Anyway, though, it's just that I'm so baffled that we don't get to go in depth with some of these ancestors. It's like, explain a little bit of Cooper's lore, like a little bit more Cooper lore. Not to mention, Vin Vivi actually had a point. It's like, there's no way all the Coopers were really good people. I'm just saying, it's like, different time periods, what's good back then might not be good now, and what's bad now might have been good back then, that sort of thing. Vice versa. It's like stuff we don't know, like, not to mention we still don't have an answer to, like, go in depth, like, how did they bump into Clockwork? I'm not saying like when. I'm not saying. I'm guessing during those points in time they didn't meet Clockwork just yet, or they might have crossed paths with him and just chose not to mention that. Not to mention there's an Easter egg of him just in a corner in the middle of the level at the very far back of the level and everything. You can see him with red glowing eyes, just flapping his wings. It's like it's a Clockwork reference. We get it, but still. I think like the only ancestor in the Thievius Raccoonus that really describes Clockwork at all would have to be Cooper Gilra. And I'm guessing this is she literally has to be the daughter of Ryuichi. There's like due to the timelines and everything. But I'm just saying we need to go a little more in depth with it, like learn a little bit more about them. Like how did they start their families? How did they start the Cooper Order? Like, how did they even start the Cooper clan in the first place? Like when did they decide to, what, we're gonna be thieves? Something like that. I would love to see how it all started, basically. Moving on. My next thing I would like to focus on is this. I would love for them to explain what Cooper focus is. Like, is it their magic? Is it their chi, their chakra, the energy they tap into in order to use said signature moves? And the only mention we really get of it is maybe pretty much Tennessee Kid Cooper explaining, you know what? Now, if my Cooper focus is full, I can do the crack shot technique or whatever. Basically that. It's like we don't get an answer to that. We just get a small little mention or a nod, and it's like, what is this? Wait, is it your energy? Is it your chakra or something? Like, we need to go in depth with that too. It's like, this goes along with my first point. It's like, how did they develop their moves? Like, how did they start it all? Where did you even get the ideas to do all this? Like, did they just focus their chakra or their Cooper focus for a few minutes, and then whatever move or technique happens or whatever affects the environment around them, it's their signature move. That's what I always thought as a kid. I'm like, maybe that's how it works. I'm like, or maybe they just had to learn to utilize it, have it manifest and then focus and then finally figure out what technique they can use. Because not all the Coopers are the same except their offspring. Maybe their offspring. That's just how I assume how it worked. But that's just how I see it. Because I can't really imagine it happening any other way, how they use Cooper focus. It just makes sense. It's like you learn this one ability, you pass it, and it's like you have a child. That child has the same ability, but maybe a stronger version of that move or something like that. Because I used to think that maybe in the Cooper, in the Cooper clan, the Cooper family, each generation gets stronger. Kind of similar to a few other things. Like, I would say Dragon Ball, but I don't think Dragon Ball is a good comparison because it's like Gohan went from Super Saiyan 2 during the Cell Saga, being the strongest character at that point in time. Other than Cell. That's all I'm saying. At that point in time, till his powers diminishing, and then Goku comes out of nowhere with Super Saiyan 3, and don't get me started on Super Saiyan 4 and Godly Key, Super Saiyan God, and Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan Blue and Ultra Instinct. Yeah, don't get me started on that. But I think that's not a very good comparison. That's how I thought, But as far as we know, the way I see it is, it's just that Cooper focus is just their chi or chakra that they utilize and tap into to use their abilities. And I would love for them to explain that in Sly 5. Preferably having Slyton Common teach Sly about that. That's just one of my points. But yeah, the next thing I'm going to focus on this list is going to be somewhere close to that. But moving on. All right, the next thing, we need to focus on something that people keep overlooking when it comes to Sly, the character himself. I mean, like, we all seem to forget about it. I mean, Vin Vivi, Vin Vivi and a few other YouTubers, they talk about it, but they don't go into depth with it. They just talk about it for like a few seconds and that's it. Like, we're ignoring the elephant in the room. And you're probably wondering, Black Otaku, what are you talking about? It's like, oh, okay, is it seriously? It's really obvious. It's like something we all don't talk about. We don't seem to point it out very much, and that's it. We need to focus on Sly and him coming up with his own ability. Because throughout the entirety of the game series and everything, he's just pretty much been copying his ancestors, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, hey man, those skills are pretty useful. And he can pull off most of those moves without a hitch, like without even a problem or anything. But the reason why I say this is because there's something we need to like really, so we need to open our eyes to. That notice how Sly can use those techniques, but he can't use them to their fullest extent. You're probably wondering, what are you talking about? Okay, I'll give you an example. Basically this. Sly can do the Ninja Spire jump, right? That's Ryuichi's move. But notice he can't do the leaping dragon technique, as far as we know. You know what I'm saying? He can use the catapult launch, but he can't go as high as Sir Galuf can. Think about it. Really think about it. No, seriously, go back. It's like, no, seriously, go back and play the games. You'll see it. It's like, if you pay that close attention and then compare it to what they do in Sly 4, you'll definitely notice the difference. I was thinking maybe Sly's signature move would be kind of like his father's. That's something. Also, that's another thing we need to focus on. Sly's father as well. At the end of Sly 3, did Sly or Bentley add that move into the Thievius Raccoonus? Does Connor even have his own section in the Thievius Raccoonus? That's something we don't know. We don't know. It hasn't been talked about. It's not mentioned, but we need to go ahead and put that in there. Like, add a little more lore to this great series. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to top, though. What would Sly's move even be? It's like, we can go we can follow in his father's footsteps and find some way for, maybe Sly can walk across like light, walk across and slide across light security beams, or just literal light. I mean, that is a tough thing to top. You are literally walking and sliding on actual freaking light. How do you even top that? I think the next best thing would be teleportation. Or we can go a completely different route with it. Maybe have Sly develop his move throughout from the beginning, like maybe take some training from Saiten Kamen, and he slowly starts to learn how to control his Cooper focus. And maybe he develops shadow abilities. And I know what you're probably thinking, shadow powers, isn't that invisibility? I mean, no, like manipulating actual shadows, being able to jump into shadows and maybe jump into a guard shadow to hide for a few seconds, then jump out of that shadow and knock the crap out of a freaking guard. Can you just imagine? I can just imagine Sly doing something that cool. I mean, like, in other words, give him a particular move that would be very useful for a thief to have. But that's just my opinion on that. Moving on. Next on our itinerary, I'm just kidding. Well, basically I would love for Sucker Punch to give, like, I'm not sure if they would actually get Sucker Punch or Sansuru, give it to Sansuru or anything. They should just collab together anyway to, make the series even greater, or to make this game the best one of them all. But anyway, though, I think Sucker Punch should give Sly the infamous parkour mechanic, or maybe some freestyle section or speed thieving for certain areas for the for the hub worlds. Basically stealing treasure, stealing treasure and bringing it back to the safe house. Something cool like that. I'm just saying this because Infamous, they decided to just let Sly go and just go straight to Infamous and stay on it for years. I mean, I think that mechanic in that particular game would actually work a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying anything against the Infamous games. I'm like, don't get me wrong, it's a really good game series and you should really play it. I thought about doing a playthrough of it, but I need to wait for certain parts and pieces to get here before I do that, and make sure I get everything everything in check before I do that. But anyway, though, seriously though, I mean, think about it. If Sly could just do parkour or some sort of free running technique, like maybe that could be part of his maybe that could be part of his signature move or something. I'm just saying we could be they could be doing a whole lot of stuff to the Sly series, like make things even doper, like something similar to like Mirror's Edge. I'm not sure that's the name of the game, but it's been a while since I picked that up. But anyway though, like basically a good parkour system. Like basically you took Infamous and Sunset Overdrive and put them together, that would be pretty cool. Being able to run and walk across certain buildings, make the hub worlds a little bit bigger so you could just straight up run around, steal treasure from certain parts and different parts of buildings. Instead of just, ring across, ring around a freaking hub world and everything, you could actually go into buildings and houses and stuff, and you could steal certain things from, it's literally surrounded by guards and certain treasures are in there, and you can steal those treasures and get, get bonuses and stuff like that. Or maybe unlock certain, unlike certain things, basically. That's all I'm saying for that. Now the next thing I want to go ahead and bring up, and say what you want, man, but I have a point. And seriously, Sucker Punch Sanzaru, it's been long enough. Give Murray a love interest, for God's sake. I mean, why my homie gotta be lonely? It's like, why he don't get a girlfriend? Why don't he get a boyfriend? Why don't he get some love in his life? I mean, like, it'd be a nice change of pace. It'd be different. No one would see it coming. Well, to be honest, I was expecting to see it in Sly 4, but yeah, we all know how that turned out. But we did get some pink hippo cross-dressing. Is there something about Murray you're not telling us? And not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm cool with that. And for anyone going like, don't push any LGBT community, and he's like, community propaganda or agenda or stuff, I'm like, dude, it doesn't even matter, man. It's a video game. Who cares? But my idea for this is, it's like I'd rather keep him. I mean, to be honest, in my opinion, I would rather keep him straight. But the reason why is because, I mean, think about it. Sly has Carmelita. Bentley had Penelope for a little while. I mean, it just makes sense that he gets somebody as well. I think they should have Murray get with Jean King, Panda King's daughter. I mean, it would be a very interesting development in his character and everything. Not to mention, I would love to have her, make an actual appearance instead of a silhouette. Something like that. Really think about it. Like, have like a small little plot, like maybe after the events of Sly 4 or Sly 3, it turns out that, or maybe during the events of Sly 4 or Sly 3, in between those games, Murray and Jean King have been seeing each other, like on the DL. They both think that, Panda King might not approve of it, or they think that Panda King isn't aware of what's going on. But the truth is, he's been aware the entire time. He's just been waiting on them to, he's just been waiting on Murray to man up and ask for. He's like, they've been dating for a while. You know what I'm saying? He's just been waiting for Murray to actually, man up and ask for his blessing to marry her or something. And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking that maybe, Panda King is like, for once, it's like, the truth is, like, I have no problem with him marrying my daughter. He's the only one I see worthy enough to be. It's like, to be a good son-in-law. It's like, better him than General Tsao. And by the way, speaking of General Tsao, I might have something in here. My next point is going to have something to do with him. Anyway, though, that's how I feel about it. Seriously, get Jing King and freaking Murray together. It would be a very interesting thing to see. It'd be different. No one would see it coming. Well, I would, since I came up with that idea. Like, anyway though. Moving on to my next thing I would want to see in Sly 5.